Hey, what is up guys? It's been a while since I last made a video and I've just been so busy. I had plans to make videos but I just didn't have the time. So now that my mid-semester exams are over, now that my assignments are handed in, I'm ready to get back into videos again and I'm going to start things off with a Kozmo deck profile. So since Flames of Destruction is out now, I figure I want to actually talk more about what this deck can actually do in this particular format or this particular change in the game so far. So we didn't get a ban list or anything, which is pretty interesting. Might make a video on that, but yeah, with the new set out, it's going to be pretty interesting seeing how Kozmos actually fare against it. But there's not too many changes with this particular deck compared to the previous Kozmo deck profile I did. So if you guys were hoping for something a little different, maybe not, but you will change up your playstyles a bit. So yeah, the cool thing is that this deck actually is able to adapt to so many metas. So I'm going to be starting things off with two Dark Eclipses. So Dark Eclipser, we are sticking to 2 because it is a Dark Attribute 3000 attack, and it cannot be targeted by opponent's card effects simply because it's one of the ships. We are playing it because obviously it can also negate traps, and I feel like trap cards are starting to become more relevant now. So we actually have the new Infinite Impermanence, I think. Infinite Impermanence. So that's the new card that's come out. Evenly Matched is still a card that people typically side in as well. I've even seen people play Lost Winds, and even in Altergeist are starting to have a slight build up since Flames of Destruction, so I figure sticking to 2 Dark Eclipses is really great for negating trap cards. Then we are obviously going to be playing the 1 Dark Destroyer. I really do hope this card comes back to 3 somehow. At least bump it up to 2, that would be pretty nice, but for now, having the 1 is just a must in the deck, so really cool card there. We're also playing the Forerunner. Simply, I want to play at least 1 ship from each and every level so that every time it floats, I can maintain that high power or the high attack for the opponent to have difficulty to get over. So if I have Dark Destroyer getting destroyed, then I float into a Forerunner. Of course, that depends on the kind of situation you're in, but most likely I will float into a lower level. So we have 3 Dogfighters, so just like the previous deck profile, we are playing 3 Dogfighters still. And actually, with the new Layer of Darkness structure deck coming out, or actually, since it's already been released, I still need to buy that structure deck, so unfortunately I won't be able to play the new cards here, but I will give suggestions. But basically, Dogfighter, during your standby phase, you can produce a token with the exact same stats as he has right now, 2000 attack, 2400 defense, and it sets you up to tribute those tokens for the effects of all your virus cards that you'll be playing. So really nice card here, and we are playing 3 because it's just such a great card. It's really cool, and of course it's a ship, so it can float into a pilot, that pilot being Dark Lady, which I most likely float into. Dark Lady, I'm sticking to 1. I think 1's enough. Paying 1000 to negate a monster effect, and also having the ability to float into a bigger ship as well as a level 5 pilot is definitely really nice to play. We are also going to be playing our 3 Slip Riders, which obviously allows us to pop our opponent's spells and traps. Mainly I use this to just pop my opponent's field spells now, because field spells are just becoming more and more relevant. Or if my opponent is setting a trap card on their end phase and I actually have a pilot on the field with this in the hand, then I'll just float into this and pop one of their back row. For level 4s, we're playing Kozmo Wicked Witch. I didn't want to play any level 4s at all, but I figure if I was to play anything, I'll play Wicked Witch over Good Witch, because Wicked Witch has the effect to prevent itself from being destroyed, so I still think it's a really great card. We are playing the 2 Farm Girls, so I finally upgraded my Gold Rare to an Ultra Rare, so really nice that I have 2 of them now, and I do recommend you play 2 because there have been games where I thought I might have a spare in the deck, but the other one's just all gone, so yeah, that's what I'm sticking to, just 2, and we're playing the 1 Sword Troopers. I still think it's an okay card. You can bring back your other pilots from the graveyard, of course. It is a hefty cost of 1000, but I think it's not too bad at all. We are playing 2 Strawman. I don't think you should be playing any more than 2. I also don't think you should be playing 1. But it's definitely a really great card. I apologize if you guys can hear the neighbor's dog barking right now, but hopefully it's not too loud and hopefully my voice can overpower the dog's barking. For the last of our monsters, we are going to be playing Kozmo Tin Can. So we're playing 3 of them, obviously. Can be also brought out with a 1-for-1, and obviously any of these big ships can easily float into this. And it's obviously still our main play of the deck. So a few changes here and there with different player styles. Obviously, Dark Eclipse is becoming more relevant. Dogfighter tokens are becoming very important for the virus cards that we'll be using in this deck. And it will definitely be really interesting trying all these things out. Alright, so now let's move on to the spells. So if you guys haven't noticed, we are not playing any other cards outside of Kozmo, so no hand traps. I think it's better off you're siding these hand traps in instead. For example, I side in Cherry Blossoms or Ghost Reaper. Yeah, I side in Ghost Reaper instead because I think it's a really good card to get rid of our opponent's extra deck since we don't even really need one. For spells, we're obviously playing the 3 Kozmo Town. 2 supers, 1 rare, unfortunately, but the supers are from Astral Pack, so it's definitely really difficult to find, and it's also pretty expensive to pay for as well. We're also having a emergency teleport, which is obviously going to bring out any of our level 3 pilots, or lower, of course, but yeah, it's mostly just there. Hopefully we could get 2 of these in the next ban list or something, but for now we'll just stick to the 1. So we're playing a 1-for-1, of course. Again, I wish we could have more copies, but unfortunately we'll just stick to that. We're playing 1 Reasoning. I figure Reasoning is a really cool card to just go into since you have so many different levels, and honestly, you're never going to minus off this because no matter what, even if your opponent guesses right and the ship goes to the graveyard, it's fine because Dark Eclipse needs extra Cosmos in the graveyard to banish for its effect anyway. We are ending things off on spells with limiter removal. I figure I might as well just play this just for fun. This deck is obviously more of a casual based deck. Obviously you can bring this to a tournament, in which case take this out, put in a Dark Hole, put in a Raigeki, but for now I'm just sticking to limiter removal because I think it's a really good card, and I am able to win games really easily with that, because obviously if you attack with either Dark Eclipse or Dark Destroyer, then with a limiter removal, that's 6,000 attack directly to your opponent. Moving on to trap cards, we are playing 3 Kozmojo. This card is still very relevant. It's a non-target banish on our opponent's side. You destroy one of your ships to float into other things as well. I think it's definitely a really important card to be playing in this particular meta. If you don't have 3, I don't know what you should do, because honestly, this deck really does need 3 Kozmojo. We are going to be playing 3 of the Full Force Virus here. So Full Force Virus was the main card I used at YCS earlier this year, but I decided to drop it down to 2 now. So actually I have 3 right here, and I'm also playing an Eradicator Epidemic Virus, but honestly my suggestion would be to take out Eradicator and put it in your side deck, because you don't know if your opponents are playing spells or monsters or traps. So put this in a side deck and take out one of your Full Force Virus, and instead, by taking out these 2, you can incorporate the new Grave Grinning Virus from the Lair of Darkness structure deck. So if you guys actually invested into that structure deck, then put in 2 Grave Grinning Virus into this instead, and I think that will definitely be a really good card to make the deck be running well. And yeah, I'll be interested to try that out once I actually get the structure deck, of course. We are going to be playing the Torrential Tribute. I do have thoughts of bumping this up to 2, but for now I think 1 is okay for me. Again, you could take out limiter removal and add in Torrential Tribute. It's not too bad of a card, and more people are playing traps these days, but of course there is still the fact that your opponent can be playing Hey Trunade, which can easily just bounce back your Torrential Tribute, in which case it's too slow of a card anyway to activate or to chain to, so I stick to 1 for now. We're playing the Solemn Warning. Still think it's a good card, and we are also playing 2 Solemn Strikes. Don't hesitate to actually activate these cards just because your Kozmos pay life points and everything like that. You don't actually have to worry about life points unless you're about to lose. Solemn Warning, Solemn Strikes, it's not going to set you back in any way. Of course, I deliberately am not playing Solemn Judgment just because I think that if you are playing Solemn Judgment, that will actually cost a lot of life, since you most likely will be activating these cards early on in the game, and as a result of that, you don't want to be losing 4,000 life points in one go. To end things off, we are playing 2 Call of the Haunted because if your opponent tries to pop this card, then you can easily chain to it and bring back one of your big ships, in which case it gets destroyed and it will float into one of your smaller ships. So that's it for the main deck, and now let's move on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, there's honestly not too much you really need to do with it, because this deck doesn't even rely on an extra deck, but these cards are just great extensions, and overall you can end up just putting in cards to help with your, sorry, what's that card called again? Cherry Blossoms or something? Yeah, Ghost Reaper and Cherry Blossoms. So we're going to be playing 1 Clifford Genius just because it requires 2 machine monsters. It's okay to open up 2 link zones, but overall I rarely use this card. I just put it there because it's unaffected by spells and traps. We're also playing 1 ABC Dragon Buster, so ABCs are becoming obviously more relevant. It has been relevant for quite a while actually in the meta, and you know, I figure I might as well just play this with a Ghost Reaper, and this will definitely stop him. We're playing 1 Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger. It's a card that can easily go up, and obviously we're playing rank 5, so we're playing the Cyber Dragon Infinity and Cyber Dragon Nova, because again, it's just easy enough to go into with the 2 Slip Riders if you are actually in that situation. We have number 61 Volcasaurus, 1 Tyrus, 1 Shark Fortress, a Constellar Pleiades, Artifact Durandal, and Adrius. Those are your rank 5s. We are also playing the Phantom Knights of Cursed Javelin. We are playing the Gachi Gantatsu, Herald of Pure Light, a Sky Cavalry, Centauria. So that's basically it for our extra deck. And of course, for the Dogfighters, we are playing just 3 of any tokens you want. So I'm just using this. But yeah, that's basically it for the deck profile. It's really fun to play in these particular formats because of the different things that can happen. And what I like about this deck is that it's so adaptable. And I'm going to be excited to get the Lair of Darkness structure deck to actually put in the Grave Grinning Virus. So if you guys already have it and you have this Kozmo deck as well, then by all means incorporate Grave Grinning Virus because it's an amazing card. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.